Bad news is that we have not reached an agreement.
This morning, no breakthrough in talks as the U.S. and Iran fail to hammer out a permanent resolution to the war in Iran.
And I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could, and they have chosen not to accept our terms.
The two sides meeting behind closed doors for 21 hours, working well into the night to find a resolution, but yielding no progress.
The president told us, you need to come here in good faith and make your best effort to get a deal. We did that, and unfortunately, we weren't able to make any headway.
Iran's nuclear ambitions remaining a key sticking point.
The simple fact is that we need to see an affirmative commitment that they will not seek a nuclear weapon, and they will not seek the tools that would enable them to quickly achieve a nuclear weapon.
This is breaking news. After Iran and the United States were unable to strike a deal, President Trump just announced a naval blockade of Iran, saying effective immediately, the United States Navy, the finest in the world, will begin the process of blockading any and all ships trying to enter or leave the Strait of Hormuz. Going on to say, any Iranian who fires at us or at peaceful vessels will be blown to hell.
In a statement this morning, President Trump said the U.S. Navy would be blockading the Strait of Hormuz and reflecting on yesterday's talks. He said, quote, "So there you have it. The meeting went well. Most points were agreed to, but the only point that really mattered, nuclear, was not. Effective immediately, the United States Navy, the finest in the world, will begin the process of blockading any and all ships trying to enter or leave the Strait of Hormuz. I have also instructed our Navy to seek and interdict every vessel in international waters that has paid a toll to Iran. No one who pays an illegal toll will have safe passage on the high seas," end quote. Which is kind of weird, because a couple of days ago when Iran suggested that it was going to put a toll on everything going through the Strait of Hormuz, Donald Trump literally said they should do it as a joint venture with America. Both countries should get together and charge tolls, which would be illegal under international law. So now if you paid a toll, you're in big trouble.
And his negotiating team are leaving Pakistan without an agreement to end the war with Iran. He said the two sides spent 21 hours in talks before the U.S. gave Iran one final offer and then walked away without a deal. As the vice president mentioned, both sides had a number of good discussions, but talks ended because Iran refused to rule out developing a nuclear weapon in the future. The U.S. entered yesterday's talks with two demands: turn over its stockpile of enriched uranium and reopen the Strait of Hormuz. These demands were also a factor in preventing a deal to end the conflict, according to Iranian state media. Vice President Vance also mentioned President Donald Trump and his national security team were also looped in during the negotiations.
We were talking to the president consistently. I don't know how many times we talked to him, a half dozen times, a dozen times over the past 21 hours. We obviously also talked to Admiral Cooper, to Pete, to Marco, to the entire national security team. We were constantly in communication with the team because I
predict they come back and they give us everything we want.
That's what President Donald Trump said in an interview with Fox News just hours after his negotiating team left talks with the Iranians without an agreement to end the conflict. He also issued a stark warning, once again threatening their energy infrastructure.
I could take out Iran in one day. I could take down in one hour. I could have their entire energy, everything, every one of their plants, their electric generating plants, which is a big deal.
Trump, who is spending his weekend here in Florida, said that he believes the negotiations, quote, went well, but that there was only one point that really mattered.
We got just about every point we needed, except for the fact that they refused to give up their nuclear ambition. And that's the only point, frankly, to me. That was the most important point by far.
Now, there are still a lot of questions about what's next, but Vice President J.D. Vance, who led these negotiations, said that this was the
thanks, in Jamaica, King is this is yes, it is there, go on, but
Next tonight, a frightening scene at a subway station in New York City. A man stabbing 3 people with a machete. Police fatally shooting the suspect who was allegedly acting erratically and involved in a verbal altercation. Here's ABC's Ike Ajachi.
Tonight, chaos inside New York's Grand Central Terminal after a suspect allegedly stabbed several people.
The individual was armed with a large knife, described as a machete, and was behaving erratically, repeatedly stating that he was Lucifer.
Around 9:30 a.m., police say 44-year-old Anthony Griffin traveled to multiple subway platforms at one of the busiest transit stations in the world with this machete, slashing 3 people, a 65-year-old man, a 70-year-old woman, and an 84-year-old man, all suffering serious injuries but are expected to recover.
MTA police requesting additional units. The location for a male that displayed a knife. Request